You think you're buying chocolate, but what if I told you that most chocolate bars in Australian supermarkets are actually legal food fraud? I'm talking about products that contain more sugar and vegetable oil than actual cocoa, bars manufactured in facilities linked to child exploitation, and brands that have systematically destroyed what chocolate is supposed to be. The chocolate industry has spent billions convincing Australians that these products are treats worth buying, when in reality you're consuming industrial confectionery with trace amounts of real chocolate. Some of these brands are so trusted, they've been in your family for generations. The purple wrapper you grew up with, the Tim Tam in your pantry, the Mars bar at the servo, none of them are what you think they are. By the end of this video, you'll never look at chocolate the same way again. Let's expose the 6 worst offenders. Number 6. Cadbury Dairy Milk. I know this hurts. Cadbury has been synonymous with Australian childhood since 1922. That purple wrapper is embedded in our cultural DNA. Your grandparents ate it, your parents ate it, you ate it. But here's the devastating reality that Cadbury doesn't want discussed. The chocolate you remember doesn't exist anymore. When Kraft Foods, now rebranded as Mondelez International, acquired Cadbury in 2010 for $19.5 billion, everything changed. At $5 for a 180-gram block, roughly $27.78 per kilogram, you'd assume you're getting quality Australian chocolate. You're not. You're getting a cost-engineered product designed to maximize corporate profit while trading on generational trust. Let's talk ingredients. Modern Cadbury Dairy Milk contains only 26% cocoa solids. To put that in perspective, European Union regulations require minimum 35% cocoa content for milk chocolate. Australian standards, just 20%? Cadbury sits barely above our pathetically low legal minimum. The remaining 74% of your chocolate bar? Sugar, milk powder, and most controversially, palm oil. Yes, palm oil. Cadbury replaced a portion of cocoa butter with cheap palm oil. This wasn't disclosed with fanfare. It was quietly introduced to cut production costs. The texture changed. Old Cadbury melted smoothly at body temperature because cocoa butter has a precise melting point of 34 to 38 degrees Celsius. Palm oil doesn't behave the same way. It creates that waxy, greasy sensation on your tongue. But texture is the least of Cadbury's problems. Independent investigations by organizations, including the International Labor Rights Forum, have repeatedly documented child labor on cocoa farms supplying Cadbury. We're talking about children as young as 5 years old in Ghana and Ivory Coast, wielding machetes to harvest cocoa pods, exposed to agricultural pesticides without protective equipment, working 12-hour days during harvest season. Mondelez participates in the Cocoa Life Sustainability Program. Their marketing materials show smiling farmers and talk about empowerment. But investigative journalists keep finding the same pattern. Poverty wages for cocoa farmers, children working instead of attending school, and dangerous working conditions. Meanwhile, the company reported $36 billion in revenue in 2023. They have the resources to fix this. They choose not to. At $5 per block, you're paying for brand recognition and childhood nostalgia while consuming industrialized confectionery with serious ethical problems. Number 5. Nestle Kit Kat. Kit Kat is everywhere in Australia. Service stations, supermarkets, vending machines, cinema candy bars, school canteens. At approximately $2 for a 45-gram bar, it seems like harmless convenience food. It's not. Kit Kat barely qualifies as chocolate under any reasonable definition. Let's break down what you're actually eating. The Kit Kat bar is primarily wheat flour wafers, about 30 to 35% of the product. The chocolate coating represents roughly 40 to 45% of the bar, and that coating contains only 23% cocoa solids. Do the math. Your Kit Kat bar is approximately 10 to 12% cocoa by weight. The rest? Sugar, wheat flour, milk powder, palm oil, soy lecithin, artificial vanilla flavoring, and PGPR, a synthetic emulsifier that allows manufacturers to use less cocoa butter. This isn't chocolate, it's confectionery coating, technically classified as compound chocolate in food manufacturing terminology. Real chocolate, made with cocoa butter, melts at body temperature, creating that smooth, luxurious mouthfeel. Kit Kat's coating doesn't melt. properly because it's primarily vegetable fats with cocoa flavoring added. It leaves a greasy film on your tongue and the roof of your mouth. But ingredient quality isn't even Kit Kat's worst problem. The worst problem is Nestle itself. This is the corporation whose CEO said water shouldn't be a human right. The company that aggressively marketed infant formula in developing countries, contributing to malnutrition and infant mortality. Nestle's corporate ethics are so consistently terrible, they become globally infamous. Their cocoa sourcing follows the same pattern. Multiple investigations have documented child labor throughout Nestle's West African cocoa supply chain. A 2019 University of Chicago study estimated that 1.56 million children work in cocoa production in Ghana and Ivory Coast, the primary sources for Nestle's cocoa. These children are exposed to dangerous conditions, using machetes and other sharp tools, carrying heavy loads that damage growing bodies, applying toxic pesticides without safety equipment. Nestle has made repeated commitments to eliminate child labor from their supply chain. They've missed every deadline. In 2001, they signed the Harkin-Engel Protocol, committing to end child labor by 2005. The deadline was extended to 2008, then 2010, then 2020. As of 2024, investigations still find child labor in Nestle's cocoa supply chain. At $2 per 45-gram bar, the actual cost is paid by children harvesting cocoa in poverty, by rainforests cleared for palm oil plantations, and by consumers who think they're eating chocolate when they're eating industrial food engineering. Number 4. Mars bars. Mars bars have been Australian service station staples since 1932. At $2 for a 53-gram bar, approximately $37.74 per kilogram, they're positioned as quick energy for people on the go. A Mars a day helps you work, rest, and play. You've heard the slogan your entire life. It's marketing propaganda for nutritional disaster wrapped in problematic chocolate. Let's examine what constitutes a Mars bar. The interior is nougat and caramel, primarily composed of sugar, glucose syrup, and hydrogenated vegetable fats. The chocolate coating represents about 40% of the bar's weight, and that chocolate contains only 25% cocoa solids. The ingredients list reads like a chemistry experiment: sugar, glucose syrup, skim milk powder, cocoa butter, cocoa mass, sunflower oil, palm fat, lactose, whey powder, milk fat, barley malt extract, soy lecithin, and artificial flavor. Count those ingredients. 20 different components to create a chocolate bar. Compare that to real chocolate, which requires 3 ingredients: cocoa beans, cocoa butter, and sugar. Mars bars aren't food, they're industrial products. The chocolate coating contains palm oil, and Mars sources palm oil from suppliers connected to rainforest destruction in Indonesia and Malaysia. Orangutan populations have declined by 50% in the past 60 years, primarily due to habitat loss from palm oil plantations. Mars makes billions while orangutans lose their homes. What makes Mars bars particularly insidious is the marketing positioning as energy food. A Mars bar contains 228 calories, 8.2 grams of fat, 40 grams of carbohydrates with 35 grams being pure sugar. That's 35 grams of sugar, equivalent to 8.75 teaspoons in a 53-gram bar. The sugar content is 66% by weight. When you eat a Mars bar, your blood glucose spikes dramatically within 15 to 20 minutes, giving you that energy burst the marketing promises. 30 minutes later, your blood sugar crashes, leaving you more tired than before. This blood sugar roller coaster promotes insulin resistance over time, contributing to type 2 diabetes risk. At $2 per bar, Mars bars are cheap calories with environmental and ethical problems. They're junk food marketed as functional nutrition. Number 3, Lindt excellence. This entry surprises most people because Lindt has cultivated a premium reputation. Those gold wrappers, the Swiss heritage since 1845, the higher price point, all signal quality chocolate. And some Lindt products are genuinely good. But here's what Australian consumers don't know. Not all Lindt sold in Australia is made in Switzerland. Certain Lindt products, particularly the Excellence bars commonly found in Australian supermarkets at $5 for 100 grams, $50 per kilogram, are manufactured in Germany, Austria, or France, using different production standards and different cocoa sourcing than Swiss-made Lindt. The Swiss-made Lindt uses higher quality cocoa beans, longer conching times, and stricter quality control. The non-Swiss Lindt uses shorter production processes, lower grade cocoa beans, and less cocoa butter. But they're all sold under the Lindt brand at similar premium prices, banking entirely on Lindt's Swiss reputation. This is textbook brand exploitation. The company doesn't prominently indicate manufacturing location on the front of packaging. You have to examine the fine print on the back panel. Most consumers assume all Lindt represents Swiss chocolate making standards. Many don't. At $50 per kilogram, you're paying premium Swiss chocolate prices for potentially non-Swiss chocolate made to different standards. That's a 200 to 300% markup over mass market brands. Even Swiss-made Lindt has ethical concerns. Lindt sources cocoa from West African farms, and investigations have documented child labor in their supply chain. In 2021, a class action lawsuit was filed against Lindt in the United States alleging the company knowingly purchases cocoa harvested by children in dangerous conditions. At premium prices, you'd expect premium ethics. You're not getting them. You're getting brand prestige marketed to people who want to feel sophisticated while eating chocolate. Number 2. Audit's Tim Tam. Tim Tam is Australian cultural heritage. The chocolate biscuit has represented Australian identity since 1964. The Tim Tam slam, biting opposite corners and using the biscuit as a straw for hot coffee or milk, is an Australian ritual. At $5 for a 200-gram pack, roughly $25 per kilogram, Tim Tams are expensive, but people buy them anyway because they're tradition. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Tim Tams are terrible chocolate disguised as national pride. The chocolate coating on Tim Tams contains only 18 to 20% cocoa solids. In many countries, products with less than 25% cocoa content cannot legally be labeled as chocolate. They're classified as chocolate-flavored coating or compound coating. Australian regulations allow it, so Audit calls it chocolate. The ingredients list tells the real story. Sugar, wheat flour, vegetable oil including palm oil, cocoa powder, milk solids, golden syrup, food color, salt, soy lecithin, baking soda, emulsifier, and flavor. Notice cocoa powder, not cocoa butter. Tim Tam coating is compound chocolate made by mixing cocoa powder with vegetable oils instead of using natural cocoa butter. This is significantly cheaper to produce and creates inferior texture. Real chocolate made with cocoa butter melts at 34 to 38 degrees Celsius, precisely at body temperature, creating that smooth melting sensation. Compound chocolate made with vegetable oils doesn't melt properly. It softens but leaves a waxy, greasy texture. That's what you're experiencing with Tim Tams. What makes Tim Tams particularly problematic is ownership and sourcing opacity. Audit is owned by Campbell Soup Company, an American corporation. The biscuits are manufactured in Australia, but the cocoa sourcing is deliberately opaque. Audit provides no transparency about where their cocoa originates, whether it's ethically sourced or what standards they maintain for labor practices. At $5 per 200-gram pack, Tim Tams are overpriced compound chocolate biscuits trading entirely on Australian nostalgia. Every variety uses the same problematic compound coating with palm oil. You're paying premium prices for industrial confectionery because it makes you feel Australian. Number 1. Darrell Lea. This is the most heartbreaking entry because Darrell Lea was genuinely iconic Australian chocolate. Founded in 1927 by Darrell Lea himself in Sydney, the company built a reputation for quality chocolate and confectionery using Australian ingredients. For 3 generations, Darrell Lea represented Australian chocolate-making pride. Then in 2012, Quinn's, a private equity firm, bought Darrell Lea. Everything changed. Quinn's implemented cost reduction strategies across the product line, and the chocolate quality collapsed. At $5 for a 180-gram block, approximately $27.78 per kilogram, you'd expect the heritage quality Darrell Lea was known for. You're getting cheapened product. Modern Darrell Lea chocolate contains palm oil, They've replaced portions of cocoa butter with cheap vegetable fats to reduce production costs. The cocoa content dropped to 25 to 30% depending on variety, barely above Australian legal minimums. The original milk chocolate block tastes noticeably different from the pre-2012 formula. It's sweeter, waxier, less chocolatey, and has that telltale greasy palm oil mouthfeel. Longtime Darrell Lea customers noticed immediately. Social media and customer reviews are filled with people lamenting what happened to their favorite Australian chocolate. The company responds with generic statements about maintaining quality, while the product clearly deteriorated. This is private equity playbook behavior. Acquire a trusted brand, reduce production costs, maximize short-term profit, damage long-term brand value. What makes modern Darrell Lea particularly disappointing is the betrayal of heritage. Original Darrell Lea competed with Cadbury as premium Australian chocolate. The new owners have reduced it to mass-market industrial product, indistinguishable from competitors. Their licorice products remain decent because licorice is harder to adulterate. But the chocolate blocks are industrial rubbish trading on 90 years of reputation. At $5 per 180-gram block, you're paying for a heritage brand that no longer delivers heritage quality. Here's what you need to understand about Australian chocolate. It's dominated by massive multinational corporations, Mondelez, Mars, Nestlé, Ferrero, and a handful of others. These companies have industrialized chocolate production, prioritizing cost reduction over quality or ethics. They've systematically replaced cocoa butter with cheap palm oil, reduced cocoa content to legal minimums, and obscured supply chains to hide ethical problems. Australian food standards enable this race to the bottom. Our regulations allow products with as little as 20% cocoa solids to be labeled milk chocolate. In the European Union, the minimum is 35%. Switzerland requires 40%. This regulatory gap means Australian chocolate can legally contain more sugar and vegetable oil than cocoa. What to buy instead? Panna Organic, $7.68 for 45 grams. Exceptional organic vegan chocolate with certified organic cocoa. No palm oil, complete. Supply chain transparency from South American fair trade farms. Loving Earth, $6.27 for 80 grams. Organic, vegan, palm oil free, B Corp certified with compostable packaging and carbon neutral operations. Whittakers, $5.56 for 250 grams. New Zealand quality chocolate with real cocoa butter. Rainforest Alliance certified cocoa. Proves affordable ethical chocolate is possible. Green and Black's Organic, $6.87 for 100 grams. Certified organic and fair trade with excellent 70% dark chocolate. Equal Exchange, $7.78 per 100 grams. Worker-owned cooperative paying farmers 2 to 3 times commodity prices. Aldi Moser Roth, $3.69 for 125 grams. German-made using European standards with simple ingredients and no palm oil. If this video opened your eyes to what's really inside Australian chocolate, hit that like button and share this with everyone who buys chocolate. Subscribe to the channel because I'm exposing more food industry frauds and ethical issues the major brands don't want discussed. Drop a comment below telling me which chocolate brand shocked you the most. Will you switch to ethical chocolate? I read every comment and genuinely want to hear your experiences. Thanks for watching, and eat real chocolate made ethically, not sugar and palm oil made with child labor.